kind of a cute video. It's a person that has a British accent and asks what a bond is. And it just really goes through what a bond is, what a school district's trying to do with the bond, so you can look at it. It's a nice 1-minute video that really succinctly explains what a bond is. Then we go through some enrollment growth that we're experiencing in a number of our schools. And maybe the key word on this slide is current capacity as opposed to permanent capacity. And you well know that, but I explained that to people that after we've made boundary adjustments, after we've brought portables in, we've done everything we can to expand the current capacity of existing facilities. We're still over capacity. Lane does a great job going through these next 3 slides, just essentially saying in normal times we would want to hold some town hall discussions, bring people together to try to seek feedback and input from them. With the pandemic, we weren't able to do that, and so we conducted surveys in-house, first with our employees, then with parents, then the public, and we saw good, strong support, as it shows in this slide, until you proposed a tax rate increase. Lane does a nice job pointing out that when you survey your own people, you tend to show higher support. So we also contracted with White 2 Analytics, and he goes through the focus group process and what we learned from focus groups. There's good support of the district, a favorable view of the district, that people recognize the need for bonding for both growth and aging facilities, and that there's pretty good support for the bond as long as it doesn't raise the tax rate. The other thing that we learned is that as people learn more about the bond, that they tend to increase their support. Then he goes through the survey, the scientific survey that White 2 Analytics conducted, and that 60% support before anybody knows much about the bond is real good support. However, once a tax rate increase is introduced to that, it drops by 12 percentage points. So then it doesn't mean that we don't have support if there was a tax rate increase. It just that it makes the passage of the bond somewhat tenuous. There's about a 3.5% plus or minus margin of error on that. Then there's in the spirit of, if people know more about the bond, the tendency then is to support the bond. These are the presentations that we have laid out. Altogether, there's 67 presentations that we'll be doing. We also focus with our faculty and staff that because they're employees of Weaver School District, people who have questions about the bond will come to them, family, friends, neighbors, and so we want to make sure that we're giving them information so that they can respond to that. Let me see if I can get this. This is probably the main video, and I'm going to show it.
Live in the Weaver School District. As the county continues to grow, we see more and more students attending school in the district. Although Weaver has done everything to accommodate continual growth, it's easy to see how some schools are becoming more crowded every year. So how does this affect the Hansen family? Well, the kids are worried about their schools being too crowded. Mrs. Hansen is worried about her kids not getting enough attention and personalized instruction. Mr. Hansen is concerned about the number of portable classrooms popping up. And Grandma and Grandpa are worried about safety issues with aging schools, such as Roosevelt Elementary, a school that is 64 years old and lacks many modern like air conditioning. To help with the increasing number of students in the district, a bond will be on the November 2nd ballot for Weaver School District. The bond will help build several new schools as well as replace one existing school. How will this bond impact the Hanson family's property taxes? The bond will do a number of things, but the one thing it won't do is raise the property tax rate. How is this possible? Not only are there more taxpayers and businesses in the county, but Weaver also has an excellent AA2 credit rating. The district has also refinanced and fast-tracked the payoff of previous bonds. With historically low interest rates, now is an excellent time to bond for the future. All of these factors will help ensure taxpayers won't see an increase in their yearly property tax rate from Weaver School District with the new bond. And Weaver has always followed through on their bond plans. On the 2017 bond, the district added a 12 classroom addition at Fremont High School, built Silver Ridge Elementary, built Orchard Springs Elementary, rebuilt Roy Junior High, and completed an addition at Weaver Innovation Early College High School, drastically improving the area's schools. Did you know that it has been 27 years since Weaver last built a high school? The 2021 bond for $279 million will fund the building of a new high school in the Taylor area, which will ease crowding at Fremont, Roy, and Weaver high schools, and provide room for future growth. The bond will also allow the district to build a new elementary school and junior high school in western Weaver County, which will help ease pressure on existing schools like Canesville Elementary, Walcrest Junior High, and Rocky Mountain Junior High. The district will also rebuild Roosevelt Elementary, which is in desperate need of replacement. Projects not included on this bond will be top priority on the next bond. Weaver has a history of going out for bond every 4 to 5 years to improve our schools without raising the property tax rate. The projects on the 2021 bond will help address continual growth in the district, as well as the need to replace some of the district's aging buildings. The Hanson family and many others love Weaver School District for its safe environment, outstanding teachers, and high quality of education. With the 2021 bond, Weaver will continue to build a successful future for all residents, and with less crowded schools, there are greater opportunities for all students. Watch for your ballot in the mail on October 12th, and then remember to vote by Election Day. Thank you for your time, and happy voting. This is the Hanson family, and
Is that your family, Mark?
Art wanted royalties. Art's been asking for royalties.
Okay, yeah.
last time was the
Last year ago was the Peterson family. Hanson's bumped us.
created.
The next slide right here, just kind of summarizing the bond projects. I try to emphasize that this list of bond projects could grow. The needs are beyond this. That you'd have need, for example, to replace Canyon View Elementary, Municipal Elementary, T.H. Bell. But the further that list grows, the more the impact to taxpayers, and that's what the board is trying to strike that balance. What are our most pressing needs, and what's the appetite of taxpayers?
I like that though, we got the property on there,
Yes.
which emphasizes we own the property.
We emphasize that. In fact, we do that in a slide coming up. One thing that I try to emphasize also is this notion of not raising the tax rate. We know that, and I really emphasize that the board has been very sensitive to taxpayers as it relates to increasing values. And so some might say, well, of course you don't need to raise the tax rate because values have gone up so much, you're capturing revenue that way. But what I help them to see is that the debt service portion of the tax rate is a very small portion of that overall rate. The rate has come down consistently each year.
Even with the cost of debt service.
Correct. The rate has come down consistently each year for the last 4 years. So I just really emphasize that the board has been very sensitive to taxpayers, especially in light of the rapid increases in assessed values. And that just shows that they're like, wow, that's, so it really helps just to eliminate.
We just need,
Please.
when I made the schedule, I can show it to you. The last 6 years, my house shows the rate has gone down.
Yeah.
I'm paying $1,000
staff. And what I'm trying to say is, look, our board is only in control of one thing, and that's the rate. And our board has steadily decreased the rate, trying to adjust for that rapid increase in values. And that, that's been okay. We showed this video, which Lane took with his drone, and emphasized at this point that we already own the properties. And can you imagine how difficult it would be at this point to try to go out and find 50 acres for high school, 30 acres for a junior high, and the cost would be. So, Lane, this is our most viewed video, isn't it? 9,400.
Awesome. That's so
Lane and his drones right there.
people want to know. That's a great way to show it. It's a great way to generate a lot. We'll probably get sued by the airport because you forgot to give the clearance.
No, he does. He has
That's all right.
He's gone through the whole training.
Look how quick he was on that.
The final slide in the presentation is some information about when the ballots go out. Lane does a great job on this one, emphasizing to employees that during work hours they cannot advocate for the bond. They can inform and educate, provide information, but they can't say you need to vote for the bond. Lane does a great job with that. Says when you're at home, you can do that all you want. The Friends of the Bond Committee will be the ones working through the PTA to distribute vote for the bond. That'll all take place away from here and through the PTA and the Friends of the Bond Committee. And we're less than a month and a half from ballots going out. So that's the presentation. We have time for questions and answers. Typically, it's just under 30 minutes to go through this. The flow of it, I think there's enough. It's kind of
Variety.
there is.
Yeah.
There's 3 videos through it. Lane and I are kind of tag teaming through it. And we have. It's been very positive.
I've been surprised about the insightful questions our staff have been
Yeah,
asking
they
too.
have asked.
They're good questions.
Yep. Okay. So that's kind of what we're
Awesome.
doing. We're in the midst. I sent you the schedule of those presentations. You're more than welcome to come to one or more, in the area, school in your area. That'd be great.
An email?
Yes, the schedule of bond presentations I have sent in another email.
Okay.
And then this is an email I just sent this afternoon. And it has the actual presentation. Yes.
Well, this is on our website.
Not this. The videos are on our website, but not the actual presentation.
Okay.
But the videos are on the website. And there's a lot of other bond information on the...
There's some great videos on rebuilding Roosevelt, showing the condition of the school. And then there's also videos on the 2012 bond projects and the 2017 bond projects. 2 separate videos that show all of those schools that were built on those bonds. A lot of information on this.
The two biggest gasps come from Superintendent said, by the time the school is open in Fremont will be 30 years.
Yeah.
And everyone goes,
If the bond passes, when it opens, Fremont will be exactly 30 years old. And, most of us still think about Fremont as a brand new school.
well, that's why you gotta emphasize it, because that's exactly what they think of.
I'd love to be 30 years old.
The second biggest gas comes from when Lane sometimes is able to say, about that.
Oh, yeah, so out of Roosevelt this year, the toilets kept backing up in the kindergarten bathroom. They couldn't figure it out, so they finally called somebody in and discovered that part of the building still on the old
Septic.
system. It hasn't been maintained for who knows how
last year was a challenging year with enrollment, obviously, with the pandemic.
You remember when you sent that email? Or with the attachment for?
John, did you hear Lane say they're gonna send out a new schedule, because there's been some updates.
Oh, perfect.
So don't follow, use your own
Okay.
schedule.
Okay, so first off, this is very preliminary, and estimates, just so you know, basically what I did is I went in and I just did this, because between September 1 and October 1, a lot happens. And so that we're apples to apples, I could just compare September 1 on our system, my student, to September 1 on this year, my student. And the elementary is up by 253. And then I corroborated this with Gina and Kimmy, and that's kind of what they're figuring right there. The junior high is up by 172. The high school is up by 96. District total up over 500. Once again, very preliminary. Gina thinks those are too low, a little too low. She thinks it's really higher out there. But I can safely predict that we'll have at least 500.
Wow.
So I think our elementary's the highest. They'll keep
Yeah.
junior
Migrating
high
toward.
Remember, they lost the most last year. That was where our biggest hit was. So we actually grew last year in secondary, and the loss of elementaries had a lot of families keeping their children home.
Also, and I forgot last year, another thing that schools was we have a charter school in Roy Bridge
Last year.
and so that helped reduce the enrollment there. And Vicone, you can see Bonneville is down a little, but the Fremont cone is up, White cone is up, Fur cone is up, and our district-wide schools, these are Two Rivers, Wick, online type of schools is up 208, and so district total 529. But I thought, in conjunction with our one presentation, the growth really is up north and west. Fremont, Roy, we were close to 389 on that group, which is a small elementary school.
Percentage-wise, the district-wide would be huge. As a percentage increase, 50%.
So I thought that was interesting. Of course, when October 1st comes in, we'll keep you guys,
Some hard numbers.
And that's good information.
Well, it's gonna really help.
yeah. I also asked our chart, because we just finished open enrollment, which was big for us this year, and I'll show you the results from that. We got all friends that are going to do it.
They're trying to eat, they got guns, so maybe you got a hot gun.
Thanks, Lane.
Nice job, Lane. Thank you.
Lane, just lost.
He was here during 17, huh?
Yeah, he came right in time to start that one.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay, so we had a new enrollment system employ a navigator, and for the most part it worked really well, and people liked it. The challenge we have is that the working with the carriers and our consultant is there really is no room for, or very little room for people that did enroll to give them a second chance. We've been a kind of a benevolent district, and so to avoid any controversy by someone who didn't know, or I didn't know, we really beat the bushes. So last spring, the last data we had about 1,816 on the medical, and that grew by 6. I was surprised at how close that was. And usually, I'll be honest with you, we're down about 100, and then through the month of September, we have all the makeup people. And so come through. So hopefully, we're not going to have very many makeup people. Dental grew, and vision grew. And I think the two reasons why those grew is because our old system would have, this is what you enrolled last year, and then they had an option just to duplicate that. And I think that didn't happen this year, and I think people have really looked at the dental and they go, oh, maybe I should take it.
Yeah.
And the vision, maybe I should take it. You know what I mean? And so I think that's why those grew. There were 533 employees that didn't even get in, and a lot of them are part-timers that aren't medical eligible anyway, but they're eligible for other things. Also, I had quite a few people would email me. I had been answering multiple emails every day. And I got to the point where I created this Word document and I cut and paste the answer, you know, on that, there are a lot of people say, well, I have the medical. I don't want the medical. I'm covered with my spouse or TRICARE or something. I don't want the medical. Should I even get on it? What happens if I don't? I said, you don't. You can be enrolled. But there are other things that are really cool for you to see. Your beneficiaries, life insurance. You can make sure you're enrolled in the catastrophic lead bank. Those kinds of things. You know, you can donate to the foundation. And so 533 just didn't even get started. 11 were in process. They had been in, but incomplete. And so we're working with them to see where they're at. And then 2,655 employees completed. So that's pretty good for a total of 3,200. Okay, our two challenges this year, we dropped the interview, disrupting 359 participants. We also went all HSA, disrupting 676 participants. And so we really
Well, there's some overlap of those numbers.
yeah, they're overlapped. They're not. There's overlap. So I'll just read really quickly. We had 3 in-person informational meetings. We had 4 walk-in open house help sessions where Chromebooks were available. We had prominent posting of applicable links on Employee Online. We had 18 all-employee emails throughout the month generated by me. The system itself generated individual daily email notice. It started at day 14. You have 14 days to enroll. You got 13 days to enroll. They go away until you enroll. That was very effective. We had separate informational meeting with child nutrition, maintenance, they had secretaries, and we had 10 with transportation because they had their trainings. And our people were down there, Chromebooks, and we signed the bus drivers up right there. You know, because in the past, a lot of them said, "Oh, I don't have access to the internet. Well, I don't get online that much." You know, we had huge help with the new teacher seminar. To our retirees, which is our group we're most worried about because they're not on the WSD system, we sent 2 snail mails, regular mails, and an email to all covered retirees. We had an employee benefits guide, and I committed all the principals to make an announcement at staff meeting, which they did. I gave them a script to read, you know, and they did. Yeah.
They're starting to show the part, but they're out there. Behavior science.
Are they really?
Yeah. I don't know how big a group it'll be,
Is it mask?
but it's anti-mask.
Robert, thanks for that update. And I thought that would be helpful
Yeah.
to the board members just to know because
Thank you.
this is a different year for us on open enrollment. Let me just take a minute on the meeting tonight. We don't have presentations tonight, curriculum or student presentations. So we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance and then the consent agenda. Then Robert will introduce some information on a resolution. This resolution, again, all this is spelled out in law. This resolution specifically asks for a public, it's a procedures resolution. It's a procedures resolution, and it precedes a public hearing. The public hearing is not about the bond itself. It's specific about the impact of the local economy of a $279 million bond. Okay? Now, we may have some people, typically we don't have public comment. John and I have talked, and it seemed like there's some pressure to say something. If John will announce that the public hearing is for those that want to speak for 3 minutes about the impact of the local economy from a $279 million bond. We might get somebody else that comes up and talks about whatever, mass or whatever. I think we ought to just let them speak. At the end of the 3 minutes, there's no response here. Just thank you very much. Is there anybody else who would like to speak regarding the impact of the local economy of a $279 million bond? We'll just process our way through the public hearing, and once the public hearing is completed, John will close the public hearing, and then circle back to the resolution that Robert had presented. And that resolution would require a motion, a second, any discussion, and then this one will require a roll call vote. So instead of a vote, the rest of the meeting will just, process through, some policy issues and so forth. So, okay through that?
Back to the open comment, if somebody goes past 3 and they become a little bit irate or something, it's just an IDA lane and he's got 4 officers there. 4? 2 inside, 2
And I
outside.
think it would just be appropriate to say thank you, your 3 minutes.
And if
is up.
it doesn't go after 2 or 3, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because again, you know the intent of what they are, we don't want to go there.
Yeah, do you have something to it?
Pam?
So you'll just watch Pam, John.
Yeah,
and-
that's exactly what
And you just say thank you very much, your 3 minutes.